This is Lena Shea and Iowa Mom, and I wanted to show you how you can use a bread machine. It costs a lot at first, but as far as saving money in the long run, it really does, because when you buy bread at the store, it costs a lot. If you want whole wheat bread, it costs even more, and then you read all the ingredients on the side of it, and it's like all the stuff in there that you don't want. And this way you can make really wholesome bread. One of the simple ones that I'm using is just the one that came with the recipe book. And I'm starting with 3 tablespoons of oil. And then we're going to be using some warm water. This is 1 1/4 warm water. And when you're doing the water, you don't want it too hot. You just want it warm. You don't want it really hot. And I get bulk yeast since I make a lot of bread. I just get a large package of yeast, put it in a glass container, and then I put it in the freezer, and it lasts a long time. And I'm going to be using 1 tablespoon of yeast. This calls for 3 tablespoons of sugar. Now, I like to curb our intake of sugar, but the problem is you have to be very careful about taking out sugar when you're using yeast, because the yeast actually grows by and produces its activity in the sugar. Now I'm going to be using, this one calls for 4 cups of flour.
And by the way, when you're measuring flour, make sure you sprinkle the flour into the measuring cup and then level it off, rather than just scooping it out of the container. This method of sprinkling will give you an accurate measurement. To watch more about measuring, watch An Iowa Mom Measures for Recipes Mythbuster style.
Sometimes, if I've got like 3 cups of white flour, I'll just do the last one whole wheat, and it still works pretty good. So if you're wanting to get a little more fiber in your diet, you can do that. Okay, now after I put the flour in there, they suggest that you poke a hole in it and then put your salt in that hole, because you want to keep the salt away from the yeast as long as it can. You don't want to put the salt directly on the yeast. And that's all there is to it. It's really not hard to do. Okay, every machine's going to be a little different as to how you put it in. But this one kind of goes in at a diagonal, and then you just turn it, and when it's in place, it's locked in. And I just start button here because I'm doing basic bread, and it says it's going to take about 3 hours. And then it does all the work for you. It mixes it, it raises, it turns it down, or punches it down as you call it. It lets it raise again, and then it bakes it all on the machine. So it is a very handy thing to use. We'll check in 3 hours. Smells wonderful. I'm gonna open it up. And I do use a hot pad. This bread machine beeps when it's done. I think all of them probably do. And if you take it out while it's still hot, which is what I would recommend, you'll want to use hot pads. This one has kind of a coating on it, so you don't have to worry about it sticking to the pan, which is wonderful. See how that just comes out real easy? Sometimes that little paddle will come out inside here, and you have to pull that out. This. You can slice this any way you want, and if you're kind of cutting calories, one thing you can do is cut smaller slices so you're not tempted to eat quite as much. If you try to put the bread in plastic before it's cool, you're going to get all kinds of moisture inside the plastic, and then you're going to have soggy bread. So a good idea is just to take a tea towel or cotton cloth that you can put over it, and the bread will keep not as long as if you go to the store and buy the stuff with all the preservatives in it. That's why they put all that in there. But I'll tell you, it probably won't last that long anyway because it is so good. So because it tastes good, people will eat it up probably before it goes moldy. So no preservatives are necessary for the bread, and that's one of the benefits, is not having all of that. It takes 3 hours for it to do it itself, but your time is real fast because you just dump the stuff in, push the button, and let it go. This is Lane Shea and Iowa Mom. Thanks for watching.